Hey, yo, what to do, my melanated ones? Y'all know who it is. Hey, check it out, family. While I got a couple of minutes, I'm going to drop off a hot video. I mean, y'all been asking me questions about George Floyd, and I guess I'll go ahead and address the situation about George. But before I do that, I do want to touch on this well, not even a conversation, but the video I dropped last night about the mental health. And then the conversation I had with this individual. I mean, that tells me, like, well, Drop, I agree with everything you said in the video outside of the fact that I feel you are not a product of your environment. And I respect everybody's opinion. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody is entitled to feel how they want to feel. But when it comes to that, I honestly feel now you sounding like a judge. I mean, because this is what judges tell people, like, man, just because you live in these conditions don't mean you have to act this way. And that's true. That's honestly true. I'm not taking nothing from that. But I'm also not taking nothing from the fact that you only know what you have been taught or seen. So if you haven't seen any better, have been taught any better, you only know what you fucking know. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of people get thrown under the bus that way and left for dead, because at the end of the day, just because a individual, I mean, and then we talking about, when I say a product of your environment, I'm not talking about you being a grown man put in a certain situation, because you're not a product then. A product of your environment, yo, is something you have been born and brought up in. See, me, I was born and brought up in the struggle. If it hadn't been certain situations that happened in my life, I would still be a part of that struggle and that situation. So when you sit and tell me like, well, nah, only thing you got to do is do better, how, Sway? And please explain to me how, when most of the time these little kids don't have the influence to tell them, hey, man, y'all ain't got, and then trust me, trust and believe me, I done been them little dudes on the street corner, man, and when people come try to tell you, which is very far in between and very few people, because don't nobody really have time for ignorant kids. That's very disrespectful, so they really not gonna come put that bug in your ear and be like, yo, Jit, you might not want to be out here on that corner like that. I mean, because it's going to really fuck up your future, so forth and so on. So at the end of the day, man, I look at it like this. You only know what you have been taught and seen. I didn't really know no better outside of what I was. I mean, and my mother did the best she could. God bless her soul. But one thing about it, man, when you see the struggle more than you see success, it turns you into a whole different breed of person. And then I'm saying to myself, like, he was like, because at the end of the day, me personally, if you ask me personally, I feel if you grew up in any kind of harsh environment, so if you grew up in the hood, if you grew up in the ghetto, no matter what you want to call it, we go through some shit called PTSD, and I don't care what nobody say. I understand it was created for the vets that came home when they went through this war situation, but trust and believe me, family, if you on this video, people, if we lived in the hood or in the ghetto, we go through war every fucking day. It may be just not the same kind of war. It's the same thing. You ever notice, man, they call it that is because when they send them boys over there and they go fight, they come back different. It's the same thing. You ain't never seen a cousin or a friend that y'all lock with, not y'all, but they lock up and the dude go away and do about 10, 15 years and he come back not even acting the same way he did. That's the same thing, PTSD. It's the same thing with living in the hood. Any harsh conditions that you live in would change your train of thought. And I feel like at the end of the day, man, we grown. These ain't conversations. Certain things is common sense. Don't listen to what a doctor tell you, just because you grew up in the ghetto, you can't suffer from these conditions. You out your mind. It's the same thing, man. If you grew up in anything, if you living in the harsh conditions, we struggle with this. We struggle. I mean, and mental health is a real issue, man. It has always been a real issue. It's like the boogeyman in the black household. I mean, that's something that black people don't talk about because they're ashamed of it. Just like, I'm not gonna lie, and I know it's a touchy situation, but I mean, we always throw, like, prime example. You know, when we always think about kids being played with and pedophiles and shit, we always think that's in like the white household where, yeah, you know, it's only the white uncles that play with their nieces and all that, but it's only the white. At the end of the day, man, that touching little girls has been going on in black neighborhoods from day one too. It's just not talked about like everything. Certain things in the black community is just not talked about. We will talk about everything else. We don't talk about mental health. We don't talk about the uncle that's been touching the little girl his whole life. We don't talk about things like that. We don't. I mean, and until we heal mentally, these are things we gonna have to be verbal about. I've dated too many females that have had issues with they uncle touching them or they mama's boyfriend or some touch. See, them issues that we don't talk about, but it's there. That shit ain't going nowhere until we can be verbal. You know, they say the first part of healing is talking about things, man. You got to admit your problems. But see, that wasn't the reason why I really did that video. I just wanted to touch on the conversation me and Scooby had. I mean, because at the end of the day, I honestly feel you can be a product of your environment. I mean, and I know a couple of people gonna feel different. This is just how I feel. I feel if you don't know no better, you know, my grandmother used to always say, if he knew better, he would do better. If he knew better, he would do better. It didn't make sense to me then, but when I got, cause you know, she used to tell my mother that when we used to do dumb shit in the street, where you know, if they knew better, they would do better. Not saying we didn't, but you know what I'm saying, people. You know what I'm saying? You got to take them people out them environments. You take them out them environments and put them in other environments, their whole attitude, and it wouldn't be depression no more. It'll be something else. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I'm talking about. But that was just on that. As far as this George Floyd situation, I ain't really got too much to say about that until maybe 2 or 3 weeks down the line when they come up with this verdict. Because y'all know the only thing they really grasping for, the only thing they really have to hold in the air, or the only thing they can bring to the table is he was high on fentanyl. I mean, but at the end of the day, come on, man. They said George Floyd walked the streets every day high on fentanyl. So, and he didn't die then. And no, I mean, and it's not like I'm saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying this is what the people was saying. They have been saying Scooby was getting high way before now, and this was nothing new, and then you know it'd be mixed emotions about George Floyd, and then see, this is where the world go left sometime. I mean, because at one point in time, you know, a lot of people had stopped bagging this dude. Not even stopped bagging him, but they had stopped pushing him because they found out George Floyd did porn. Y'all is some of the biggest hypocrites, and this is why I say y'all hypocrites, because majority of y'all probably watch porn. I'm just saying. But just because this dude did one porn scene, all of a sudden he's a bad guy. Just because he get high, all of a sudden he's a bad guy. And that's my thing with black people, yo. I mean, because I've been seeing, like, I saw a video the other day, and it wasn't even a Candace Owens video, and it was a regular video, like a regular female. And I don't know if people do shit for attention. I don't know if they do it for the likes or shares, but she was on some, y'all out here marching and protesting for George Floyd, and the police officers was only doing their job, and if he hadn't been out there high trying to cash fake checks. My thing is this. Shorty, you done had a boyfriend, a cousin, an uncle, or somebody that you know that has done worse shit than George Floyd, and you still will ride for him if they died in the way George Floyd did. Sometimes y'all make me sick to my stomach. I love y'all to death, trust me. And you know, and I'm pretty sure I do a lot of people videos like probably a lot of people do mine. I don't leave comments and all that. I mean, I watched it, but I didn't agree with nothing Shorty had to say. And that's just because I feel like this, man. No matter what that man did, that is somebody's father, that is somebody's son, that was somebody's husband, a boyfriend. And so at the end of the day, people, we don't care about human life no more. You see what they turning us into? They turning us into them. Anytime you will bring out the bad in a person over a murder instead of, this is where the world is going. You would rather talk bad about a dead individual just because he don't fit what you feel is right in your criteria. And that shit is crazy to me. I mean, that's why I say these YouTube streets is different. Because I don't really know whether to believe some of y'all or think some of that shit some of y'all be saying is just for likes and shares and views. Because it be different on this YouTube shit, yo. But far as George Floyd, man, you know that's the only thing they going at. That's the only thing they have to ride on, is that he was high. Because at the end of the day, if he wasn't high, what else could they have brought to the table? That is the only thing they can bring to the table, and that's what they're going to hold. That's all they're going to hold, because it's too much going against him. I mean, it's too much going up against a police officer. What's his name? Chavez, whatever his name is. But you know, that's my thoughts though. And I gotta do a couple of things today, yo. I guess I'll drop a video off later. This is Drop. I love y'all. I'm out.